Good evening. I'm Byron Scott with a CTV News update. Well, fiscal year 2025 looks bleak for Metro and potentially worse for its customers. At a board hearing today, the transit agency said structural funding issues related to the end of federal COVID relief dollars will leave Metro with a $750 million budget deficit. For its riders, it could mean eliminating 2/3 of Metro service with no service after 9:30 p.m. Also, out of 135 existing bus lines, 98 would be cut. Deep cuts could also come to Metro Access.
This is an existential threat for Metro and is not a one-time piece. I think we've made an enormous amount of strides in the last year. But I think the message that we're trying to get out to the public now is lots of advance warning. We're not trying to put fear into people as much as we're trying to educate and bring understanding together. We really want to be fact-driven here. We're not trying to get in, we're not opining. We're not trying to tell people how we're going to solve this at this point. We're doing it very early so we can actually get all of our region to come together, because ultimately this is a regional system and the region has to solve this together. So.
Officials say they will engage with federal, state, and local leaders to explore long-term funding solution. So what do riders think? CTV spoke with Metro riders today about the pending service cuts and how it might impact their daily travel.
I think it's crazy. Like, something needs to happen, something needs to like we need a train, the train is serious in today's time, over here in the DV area, the train is everything.
Given that I'm just hearing about it, it makes me kind of nervous because I really didn't like having to drive to and from the Pentagon and downtown and was counting on this and other services to get me around town. So if that's something, I just need to be more aware of it, so I'm ready for it.
And a staffing shortage at the Department of Corrections is raising safety concerns for workers and inmates. News 4 reports the department has lost nearly 1/3 of its workforce since the pandemic began, forcing officers to work overtime and making lockdowns more routine. The department's intake center temporarily shut down for 2 hours on Monday due to insufficient staffing. The Corrections Department is offering a $3,000 signing bonus for new officers, which will increase to $5,000 next month. Well, Maryland's High Court limits the use of ballistics evidence at trials. The groundbreaking 4-3 decision was handed down this week by the Supreme Court of Maryland. The ruling states patterns and markings can be helpful in the general firearms identification, but prosecutors cannot positively trace bullets from a crime scene to a suspect's gun. It also concluded that use of such testimony in the state courts should be limited. Well, County Council Vice Chair Walla Blagay has introduced legislation aimed at tightening security at apartments and senior housing complexes. Blagay is calling for surveillance cameras on each apartment building or groups of buildings totaling more than 100 units. The measure would also require at least one 12-hour security guard on duty 7 days a week at age-restricted senior housing dwellings.
Really, camera coverage is critical to catching the perpetrators. I mean, one of the things we want to make sure is that for those carjackings are high. One of our highest crimes are property crime in the county. And when we look at it, the reality is that most of these, the perpetrators are between the ages of 13 and 18. And if we catch them, the best way to catch them is security cameras.
CB 66 has been referred to the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott. Coming up, civil rights legend John Lewis is honored by the U.S. Postal Service. More news in just a bit. Stay tuned.
Instability around the world. Market disruptions. Today, we face challenges never seen before. But the solution has never been clearer. Out here, an answer for a more stable world. Out here, new technology will drastically reduce emissions. Out here, vast solutions will power our future. It's out here.
A U.S. Postal Service stamp honoring late Congressman John Lewis was unveiled yesterday in a ceremony at the Capitol. Lewis was a civil rights icon, leading hundreds in a protest known as Bloody Sunday. He was also a close confidant of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Lewis served more than 3 decades in Congress until his death in July of 2020 from pancreatic cancer.
By adding John Lewis to this collection, we are honoring an extraordinary contributions to the American story and inspiring future generations to follow his lead.
Now, the stamp will be issued in July, followed by the naming of a postal facility in August, after Lewis in August in Atlanta. Well, a member of the Piscataway convoy says he's frustrated that his local tribe is being left out of Maryland history. Rico Newman says every other major ethnicity in the state school-funded system gets funding, but not Native Americans. He says the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs has asked for a dedicated source of funding for non-capital grants.
O'Malley put out a mandate when he was in office that Indian history would be mandated in Maryland public schools from elementary through high school. Never happened. But we want to see something in the curriculum that shows that we're still here, that we're still profound, that we're still moving ahead. And sometimes going ahead, it takes capital, money. And the commission has been denied that, whereas we see other commissions progressing because they do have a budget.
Newman says the Maryland School Board has refused to address the demographics of the local indigenous community, saying it's too small to count. He calls it a cop-out that the board ignores the community and has not been required to address that issue. Well, WSSC will be using new technology that turns sewage into methane gas. The utility has created a new way to process sludge. The technology known as anaerobic digestion takes sludge to the company's new Piscataway bioenergy facility in Accokeek. Officials say the material will be turned into methane gas, which will be converted to renewable natural gas, which can be sold as fuel. Montgomery County will be using this new fuel to power its ride-on buses.
The benefits are we're going to be reclaiming that methane. So that's going to put less of a carbon footprint out there. So the way that's going to happen is when we run our generators through using this gas, those generators are going to produce electricity that we can use here at the facility. And of course, the gas can be used to run the generators. So both of those things reduce our carbon footprint. Because we're not relying on fossil fuels.
Now, Mosby says the new technology will also help in creating green jobs. Construction of the new facility should be completed in the fall of 2024. Well, if you're planning on using the Woodrow Wilson Bridge tonight, listen up. The State Highway Administration will be performing routine maintenance work overnight, starting at 11 o'clock tonight and going through 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. The work will require brief openings of the drawbridge, resulting in temporary traffic stops, and those stops are expected to be 15 to 20 minutes in length and will occur several times. The SHA says be patient. And coming up, Simon Buggs of Sports. Stay tuned.
Hey sports fans, I'm here in College Park for the groundbreaking ceremony of the Barry P. Gossett Basketball Performance Center. I have more details on this historic day. Stay right there.
Every day, we go about our lives driven by routine. Our vision is clouded by the very normalcy we take for granted. Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible, until now. The Blue Campaign provides a unified voice for those who combat human trafficking. Whether it's forced labor, domestic servitude, or the sex trade, it's time to open our eyes. Learn what you can do to help by visiting dhs.gov/bluecampaign.
It's time to meet your pet of the week. This is Smokey. She's very relaxed and is looking for a family to give her the love and care she needs.
Is a spayed female 10-year-old domestic short-hair cat. She is all black. She is extremely overweight. So she is looking for a family that's going to assist her in her weight loss journey. She's probably going to need to lose about 8 to 10 pounds to be at her healthiest. She is one of my favorite here at the animal shelter because she's so sweet and all she does is sleep. I think that she would be perfect in a home with like maybe 2 adults, a home not with a lot of noise, although she's never displayed any type of negative behavior while here.
And if you'd like to adopt Smokey or another pet, please call the number on your screen.
Hey sports fans, it's time for your Thursday sports page. We'll start with some college basketball. Today, the University of Maryland held the groundbreaking ceremony for the Barry P. Gossett Basketball Performance Center. This center will serve as a practice facility for the Terps men and women's basketball team. Women's head basketball coach Brenda Fries, who's been here for over 2 decades, touched on finally having her own facility.
21 years patiently waiting, so that is, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, and to be able to see, this facility, go up, and everything that's we've had to wait for, it's going to be a magical moment.
And Kevin Willer, who just finished his first year as a Terps men's basketball coach, spoke on the importance that he and his team have another place to call home.
I think it's one of the biggest days in Maryland basketball history. We obviously have, if you look to the left and look to the right, there's 2 great trophies that are, that we show every recruit. But this is a place that's going to give Maryland basketball a place to celebrate the past and to train for the future. So it's also going to give every sport in this building a new opportunity for more space. It's going to give the Olympic sports a chance to get a brand new weight room, brand new locker rooms. So it's not only our facility, it's us moving out of this facility a little bit to give other sports more opportunity.
Moving to the NBA, the Wizards have traded center Kristaps Porzingis to the Boston Celtics for point guard Tyus Jones in a 3-team deal. This past season was Porzingis' first full year with Washington, and the big man averaged 23 points, 8 boards, and 3 assists. From the Xfinity Center in College Park, Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thank you, Simon. Let's get a quick check now on our 3-day weather forecast tonight. More showers with a low near 67. For the next 2 days, showers and thunderstorms with a high around 81. Friday and a high near 84. Saturday, Sunday, partly sunny with possible showers and a high around 86 degrees. And now for the community calendar. If you're interested in learning more about joining a service academy, Congressman Glenn Ivey has the event for you. He'll be hosting a Service Academy informational webinar. There'll be special guests from the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marines. The webinar's tonight from 7 to 8. You can register by visiting the link on your screen. And that's our news for tonight. I'm Byron Scott. We'll see you tomorrow, 4:30. Good night.
It starts with a ripple that builds into a wave and rolls into a storm with the power to change the world. When Oceana fights destructive fishing practices and pollution, the ripple effect means we are protecting and restoring critical habitats to ensure abundant oceans. And we can ensure local catch feeds local communities. Your ripple effect is helping to restore our oceans, fight the climate crisis, and feed the world.